I, 28F, never imagined I'd be in this situation, questioning everything about my life and the people I thought I could trust. To understand how I got here, I need to start from the beginning. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew each other. My parents, both teachers, raised my younger sister Eileen, 24F, and me with strong values of honesty and hard work. As the oldest, I always felt the pressure to be the perfect daughter. I excelled in school, participated in numerous extracurricular activities, and generally tried to make my parents proud. Eileen, on the other hand, was always more free-spirited and rebellious. Our childhood wasn't always easy. When I was 12 and Eileen was 8, our mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. The next 2 years were a blur of hospital visits, whispered conversations, and a constant state of worry. Thankfully, Mom recovered, but the experience changed our family dynamics. I became even more responsible, while Eileen seemed to push boundaries even further, perhaps as a way to cope with the stress we'd all been under. Despite our differences, Eileen and I were close growing up. We shared secrets, clothes, and dreams about our future. I always imagined us living in the same city, raising our kids together, and being each other's support system. How naive I was. Fast forward to 5 years ago. I had just finished my master's degree in marketing and landed my first real job at a local advertising agency. I was proud of my accomplishments but also felt the pressure to find a partner and settle down. That's when I met Ryan, 30M, at a local bookstore. I remember that day clearly. I was browsing the mystery section, looking for the latest John Grisham novel, when I accidentally bumped into Ryan. He was tall, with kind brown eyes and a warm smile. We started chatting about our favorite authors and ended up talking for hours over coffee. Ryan was charming, intelligent, and seemed genuinely interested in my thoughts and opinions. It felt like a breath of fresh air after a string of disappointing dates. We started dating and everything felt perfect. Ryan was supportive of my career, got along well with my friends, and even managed to charm my usually skeptical parents. He was especially good with Eileen, who was going through a difficult phase at the time. She had dropped out of college and was working a series of part-time jobs, much to our parents' dismay. Ryan often acted as a mediator during family arguments, always finding a way to calm everyone down. As our relationship progressed, I started to envision a future with Ryan. We talked about marriage, kids, and buying a house together. I thought I had found my happily ever after. But looking back, there were signs that something wasn't quite right. About 2 years into our relationship, Ryan started to become distant. He would cancel plans at the last minute, claiming work emergencies. When we were together, he seemed distracted, often checking his phone. I tried to talk to him about it, but he always brushed off my concerns, saying I was being paranoid. Around this time, Eileen started to turn her life around. She enrolled in community college and got a steady job as a receptionist. I was proud of her progress and grateful to Ryan for being a positive influence on her. If only I had known the truth. The real turning point came on our 4th anniversary. I had planned a surprise dinner at the restaurant where we had our first date. I arrived early, excited to celebrate our love. But as I waited, the minutes turned into hours, and Ryan never showed up. My calls went straight to voicemail. I sat there, feeling humiliated as the waitstaff gave me pitying looks. Finally, after 3 hours, I went home, my perfectly planned evening in ruins. The next day, Ryan called with a flimsy excuse about a work crisis and his phone dying. I wanted to believe him, but doubt had taken root. Over the next few months, our relationship became increasingly strained. We argued more frequently, often about small, insignificant things. The spark we once had seemed to fade, replaced by tension and unspoken resentments. During this time, I also noticed changes in Eileen's behavior. She became withdrawn and avoided spending time with me. Whenever Ryan's name came up in conversation, she would quickly change the subject. I tried to talk to her about it, worried that she might be falling back into her old habits, but she always had an excuse to end the conversation. Last week, everything came crashing down. I had taken a half-day off work, hoping to surprise Ryan with a home-cooked meal and maybe rekindle some of the romance we'd lost. As I walked into our apartment, I heard muffled voices coming from the bedroom. My heart raced as I approached the door. When I opened it, I froze in shock. There, in our bed, were Ryan and Eileen. The scene is seared into my memory, the tangled sheets, the look of horror on their faces, the sick feeling in my stomach. What followed was a blur of shouting, tears, and accusations. Ryan tried to explain, saying it just happened and he never meant to hurt me. Eileen cried, begging for my forgiveness. I couldn't bear to look at either of them. I fled the apartment, not knowing where to go or what to do. I ended up at a nearby park, sitting on a bench for hours, trying to make sense of what had happened. How long had this been going on? How could the two people I trusted most in the world betray me like this? When I finally gathered the courage to call my parents, their reaction made everything worse. Instead of offering support, they seemed more concerned about keeping the family together. My mom suggested we all sit down and talk it out, as if this was just a minor disagreement that could be resolved over dinner. My dad was more focused on how this would affect Eileen's progress than on how I was feeling. I've since moved out of the apartment and am staying with my best friend, Sarah. Ryan keeps calling and texting, asking for another chance. He claims it was a one-time mistake and that he loves me. Eileen has sent long, rambling messages explaining how sorry she is and how it will never happen again. My parents are pressuring me to forgive them both for the sake of family harmony. But how can I ever trust either of them again? How do I move forward from this betrayal? The two people I trusted most in the world have hurt me in the worst possible way. I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal, and confusion. I've built my whole life around Ryan and my family. We had plans for the future: marriage, kids, a house in the suburbs. Now all of that has crumbled, and I'm left wondering if any of it was real. Did Ryan ever truly love me, or was I just a placeholder until he could be with Eileen? I'm also struggling with feelings of inadequacy. What does Eileen have that I don't? Is she prettier, funnier, more exciting? These thoughts keep swirling in my head, making it hard to sleep or concentrate at work. My friends tell me I should cut ties with both Ryan and Eileen, maybe even take a break from my family. But the thought of losing everyone I love terrifies me. At the same time, I don't know if I can ever look at them the same way again. I'm torn between my desire for justice and my fear of being alone. Part of me wants to forgive them just to stop feeling this pain, but another part knows I deserve better. I've always been the peacemaker in the family, the one who smooths things over. But this time, I don't think I can just let it go. I'm considering moving to a new city, starting fresh where no one knows me or my history. But is running away really the answer? Should I stay and confront this head-on? I'm worried that if I leave, I'll always be haunted by what happened. I guess I'm looking for advice, support, or just someone to tell me that it's going to be okay. How do I rebuild my life after such a massive betrayal? How do I learn to trust again? Am I wrong for not wanting to forgive them immediately? Any words of wisdom would be appreciated. Update 1: It's been a month since my last post, and I wanted to update you all on what's been happening. First, I want to thank everyone for their supportive comments and messages. Your words gave me the strength to stand up for myself during this difficult time. After much reflection and several sleepless nights, I decided to confront Ryan and Eileen one last time. I chose a neutral location, a quiet park near Sarah's place where I've been staying. When we met, I was struck by how different they both looked. Ryan, usually so put together, seemed haggard with dark circles under his eyes and wrinkled clothes. Eileen couldn't stop fidgeting, her eyes darting around nervously. I started the conversation by telling them how deeply their betrayal had hurt me. I spoke about the trust I had placed in both of them and how they had shattered it. As I spoke, I felt a strange sense of calm, as if I was finally releasing all the pain and anger I'd been holding inside. Ryan broke down in tears, begging for forgiveness. He claimed that what happened with Eileen was a one-time mistake, fueled by alcohol and poor judgment. He talked about how stressed he'd been at work, how he felt disconnected from me, and how Eileen had just been there to listen. I listened to his excuses, feeling a mix of pity and disgust. Then Eileen dropped a bombshell. With tears streaming down her face, she revealed that their affair had been going on for over a year. She said she couldn't live with the guilt anymore and wanted to come clean. Ryan's face turned pale as Eileen spoke, and I realized he had been lying to me yet again. Eileen went on to explain how it started. Apparently, a year ago, when I was out of town for a work conference, Ryan had come over to our parents' house to help Eileen move some furniture. They had a few drinks, started talking about their problems, and one thing led to another. What was supposed to be a one-time mistake turned into regular secret meetings and lies. The revelation hit me hard, but strangely, I felt a sense of clarity. All the little inconsistencies and doubts I had pushed aside over the past year suddenly made sense: the cancelled plans, the secretive phone calls, the way Eileen would avoid me. I thanked Eileen for her honesty, even though it came too late. Ryan tried to salvage the situation, promising to go to couples counseling and do whatever it took to win back my trust. He talked about our history together, the plans we had made, and how he couldn't imagine his life without me. But as I looked at him, I realized that the man I loved no longer existed. Perhaps he never did. I told them both that while I appreciated their apologies, I couldn't continue to have either of them in my life. The trust was broken beyond repair, and I needed to focus on healing myself. Eileen tried to argue, bringing up our shared childhood and the bond we had as sisters. But I stood firm, telling her that she had chosen Ryan over that bond, and now she had to live with the consequences. After our meeting, I went back to our parents' house to talk to them. I hadn't been there since everything happened, and walking into my childhood home felt strange and uncomfortable. I sat them down and explained my decision to cut ties with Ryan and Eileen, at least for now. To my surprise, my mom burst into tears and confessed that she had known about the affair for months. She said she didn't tell me because she hoped it would blow over and didn't want to hurt me. She also admitted to being afraid that if she told me, I would cut ties with the family, and she couldn't bear the thought of losing her daughter. This revelation shook me to my core. I felt betrayed not just by my sister and boyfriend, but by my own mother. My dad seemed just as shocked as I was, leading to a huge argument between my parents. I sat there, watching as my family fell apart, feeling oddly detached from it all. Amidst all this chaos, I made a decision. A few months ago, I had been approached by a headhunter about a job opportunity in another state. At the time, I had dismissed it, not wanting to leave my life and family behind. Now, it seemed like exactly what I needed. I called the headhunter back and found out the position was still open. After a whirlwind of interviews and negotiations, I accepted the job offer. It's a great opportunity for my career, a step up in both responsibility and salary. But more importantly, it's a chance for a fresh start away from all this drama. I'm scared about moving to a new place where I don't know anyone, but I'm also excited about the possibilities. I've realized that I need to focus on myself and my own happiness instead of trying to please everyone else. As for Ryan and Eileen, I've blocked their numbers and social media accounts. It's painful, but necessary for my healing process. I've also told my parents that I need some space from them, especially my mom, to process everything that's happened. The hardest part was packing up my things from the apartment I shared with Ryan. Sarah came with me for support, and we spent a day sorting through years of accumulated memories. Each photo, each shared possession felt like a reminder of the life I thought I would have. But as I packed, I also felt a sense of lightness, as if I was shedding an old skin and preparing for a new chapter. I know the road ahead won't be easy. I'm leaving behind everything familiar, my job, my friends, my family. But for the first time in weeks, I feel hopeful about the future. I'm taking it one day at a time and learning to trust myself again. Thank you all for your support during this difficult time. I'll update again once I've settled into my new life. Update 2. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share how things have been going. The move to the new state was challenging at first, but it turned out to be exactly what I needed. I've thrown myself into my new job, which has been both demanding and rewarding. The change of scenery and the opportunity to meet new people have done wonders for my mental health. My new job is at a larger advertising agency, and the projects I'm working on are more complex and exciting than anything I've done before. It's been a steep learning curve, but I'm enjoying the challenge. My colleagues have been welcoming, and I'm slowly starting to feel like part of the team. Living in a new city has been an adventure. I've been exploring different neighborhoods, trying out local restaurants, and even took a cooking class. It's liberating to walk down the street and know that no one knows my history or the drama I left behind. About 2 months after I moved, I received an unexpected email from Ryan. My heart raced when I saw his name in my inbox, and for a moment, I considered deleting it without reading. But curiosity got the better of me. In the email, Ryan informed me that Eileen was pregnant, and he was pretty sure he was the father. He said he felt I deserved to know and apologized again for all the pain he caused. He also mentioned that he and Eileen were trying to make things work for the baby's sake. I didn't respond to the email, but it did bring up a lot of emotions I thought I had dealt with. I spent the next few days oscillating between anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief that I was no longer part of that mess. A week later, my dad called. He told me that my mom had moved out and they were separating. Apparently, the revelation of her keeping Eileen and Ryan's affair a secret had caused irreparable damage to their relationship. He also mentioned that Eileen had moved back home and was struggling with the pregnancy. I felt a mix of emotions, sadness for my family falling apart, anger at the continued drama, but also a sense of detachment. I realized that while I cared about what was happening, it no longer had the power to derail my life. I was building a new life for myself, one that didn't revolve around their drama. On a more positive note, I've started to make friends in my new city. There's a group of coworkers I often go out with after work. We've had movie nights, tried out new restaurants, and even did an escape room together. It's nice to have people to talk to who don't know my history and just accept me for who I am now. I've also joined a local hiking club. It's been a great way to explore the natural beauty of my new home state and meet people outside of work. Last month, on one of our hikes, I met someone named Alex, 32M. We bonded over our shared love of nature and photography. We've been on a few dates, and while I'm taking things very slowly, it's nice to feel that spark of attraction again. Alex knows I've been through a tough breakup and has been respectfully patient. One of the biggest changes in my life has been starting therapy. After everything that happened, I realized I needed help processing my emotions and working through my trust issues. My therapist has been helping me understand my patterns in relationships and how to set healthy boundaries. It's been challenging at times, dredging up old memories and confronting hard truths about myself, but I can already see the positive impact it's having on my life. As for my family, I've maintained minimal contact. I exchange occasional texts with my dad, mostly just checking in to make sure he's okay. I'm still not ready to have a real conversation with my mom or Eileen. I know at some point I'll have to deal with the fact that I have a niece or nephew on the way, but for now, I'm focusing on my own healing. This experience has taught me a lot about resilience and self-worth. I've learned that it's okay to put myself first sometimes, and that I don't have to set myself on fire to keep others warm. I'm proud of how far I've come and excited about what the future holds. There are still days when I feel sad or angry about what happened, but those days are becoming fewer and farther between. I'm learning to trust my instincts more and to value myself enough to walk away from situations that aren't good for me. Thank you all for your continued support. I'll update again if there are any significant developments. Update 3. It's been a year since my original post, and I wanted to give you all a final update. Life has a funny way of surprising you when you least expect it. First, the big news: Alex and I are now officially a couple. Taking things slow really helped us build a strong foundation of trust and communication. He knows about my past and has been incredibly supportive. It's refreshing to be in a relationship where I feel truly respected and valued. We recently took a weekend trip to the coast, and as we watched the sunset together, I realized how far I've come in my healing journey. My career has been going well too. I recently led a successful campaign for a major client, which has opened up new opportunities within the agency. It feels good to be recognized for my hard work and creativity. As for my family situation, things have taken an unexpected turn. About 3 months ago, I received a call from my dad. He told me that Eileen had given birth to a baby girl, but there had been complications. Eileen needed emergency surgery and was asking for me. Despite my reservations, I decided to fly back home. Walking into the hospital was surreal. I hadn't been back to my hometown since I left, and everything felt both familiar and strange. Seeing Eileen in the hospital bed was a shock. She looked so vulnerable and different from the sister I remembered. We had a long, tearful conversation where she apologized profusely for her actions. She also revealed that Ryan had left town shortly after finding out about the pregnancy, refusing to take any responsibility. During my stay, I also had a heart-to-heart with my mom. She expressed deep remorse for hiding the affair and explained that she was trying to protect both her daughters in her misguided way. While I'm not ready to fully forgive her, I understand her perspective better now. We're taking small steps to rebuild our relationship, starting with weekly phone calls. As for my dad, seeing him take care of Eileen and the baby softened my heart towards him. He stepped up as a grandfather and has been a rock for the family during this difficult time. We've started to rebuild our relationship, and I'm grateful for his unwavering support. The most surprising development? I formed a bond with my niece, Lily. Holding her for the first time, I felt a rush of love I didn't expect. She's innocent in all of this, and I've decided to be a part of her life, even if it means navigating a complicated relationship with Eileen. I'm not ready to forgive and forget, but I'm open to slowly rebuilding some form of relationship with my sister for Lily's sake. I'm back in my new city now, but I plan to visit my family more often. Alex has been incredibly understanding about the whole situation and has even offered to come with me on my next visit. His support means the world to me. This past year has been a roller coaster of emotions, but I've come out stronger on the other side. I've learned the importance of setting boundaries, the power of forgiveness, both for others and myself, and the ability to find happiness in unexpected places. I still have moments of doubt and pain, but they no longer consume me. I'm focusing on building a life that makes me happy, surrounded by people who truly care about me. My relationship with Alex is growing stronger every day, my career is flourishing, and I'm slowly rebuilding connections with my family on my own terms. To everyone who's followed my journey, thank you for your support and advice. Life isn't perfect, but I'm in a much better place now. I'm looking forward to the future with hope and optimism, ready to face whatever challenges come my way.